Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. You have to ask Michael Cohen and Beatdown Brigaders, especially after a day like today. Is Trump tanking the market just absolutely on purpose? I mean, you look at what was happening today. We saw Thursday, Friday markets crash. Yesterday, there was supposed to be a crash, but it wasn't as bad as it was supposed to be, which is a good thing. We all, to the extent you have a 401k or you have a pension or you're looking at your account or your portfolio or whatever, no one wants to see the markets crashing. I don't care who's in office. No one's cheering and rooting for markets crashing. So I woke up today and I said, wow. Even though I think, as Senator Warner, Democratic senator from Virginia, put it, it feels like a good day in hospice. Like it's not good, but I'm glad that today's doing better than, the other days. It was up, what was the stock market up at some point? 1,300, 1,400 points. And then what does Donald Trump do? I mean, what does his regime do? Despite all of these market forces just wanting him to say, hey, these tariffs are stupid. These tariffs are bad. They're dangerous. We're going to pause the tariffs. We're going to do something. We're going to be reflective and exercise some sort of business judgment, right? Like anything. What does the Trump regime do as the market looked good today? I was like, great, it's doing good. Maybe I don't have to look at this for one day. They then talk about 104% tariffs on China. 104% tariffs on China, and that they're not backing down, that this is going to happen at 12:01. So then they push that out. And as for those who are watching it, you see a market that's entirely green and doing well today. Let me be clear, today, not in general. It's lost like $10 trillion, but it was rebounding slightly today to then crashing today. And here we are again, Michael Cohen. We're recording this live April 8th, 2025, after the markets closed. And we're like, is it gonna be another crash tomorrow? What the hell's gonna happen? What's gonna happen at 12:01? Does this escalate now? What's China gonna do in response? Like, where the hell is this going right now?
So, Ben, as of this exact second, the market is down and closed at $320.01 down. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't say $320.01 is a market crash, but you add that to the cumulative losses over the last 4 or 5 days, and you are down somewhere in the neighborhood of 7.5 or 8% of the market. When you listen to Trump talk about how he had the greatest market ever in the history of the stock market, that's not true. In fact, if you look at the numbers, and you can Google them for yourself, under the Biden administration, when Trump took over, the market was about 43 or 44,000 at the all-time high. We're now down 7,000 points on the market. Catastrophic. And as Ben just said, we have no idea what's in store for tomorrow, other than to say, you can't become numb. You can't let this numb you out where you say, oh my God, I can't take it anymore. I have what's called Trump fatigue. No good, because the second you allow that to happen, I assure you, they win, we lose, and when we lose, democracy loses.
Yeah, look, you mentioned the Dow was down 300, but the NASDAQ is down 2.15%, down 335 at the NASDAQ. You were talking about the Dow. And then when you look at the S&P today as well, the S&P was down 80 points, which is about 1.57% because there's a lower total number in the aggregate of overall points. So, look, it was Senator Murphy from Connecticut, that Democrat, who I interviewed, and he said, look, Ben, here's what I think. He goes, I think this is out. He goes, in my opinion, I think this is out of the authoritarian playbook. You intentionally crash the economy. And he said, just think about it. Putin, do you think Putin cares about the people in Russia? No. North Korea, you think Kim Jong-un cares about the people in North Korea? No. Authoritarians not only don't care about the people who live there, they like when the people suffer, so they could be the ones who hand out the breadcrumbs and people have to go to them to beg. Please, can I have this? Please, can I have food? Please, can I do this? Please, 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 Donald. He wants the business community. Can I get exemptions? Can I be excluded? Don't make this apply to me. And only Donald can then give the exemptions, right? While everybody suffers. And then when it comes to other countries, he wants all of the countries to come to him to beg him and say, help me, help this. And so what he's finding, though, you know who's going to him? Like Zimbabwe. You know who's going to him? Vietnam. Because
McDonald Island, Herd Island,
the penguins. Because Donald Trump's erroneous formula about reciprocal tariffs, which aren't reciprocal, looked at the trade deficit that the United States had with nations and then applied the trade deficit as though that was a tariff from the other country, and then even got that formula wrong. So what Trump was pissed about is, why is it that America is buying all of these things from Vietnam, but Vietnam is not buying all of these things from America? It's a poorer country. That's why. It's a much poorer country, and America was getting cheaper products, and your whole promise was to reduce prices on day one. I mean, so the nations like Cambodia, Zimbabwe, Vietnam going to Trump and begging, but now you're seeing Xi Jinping of China and the other China officials standing up and saying, if you want a trade war, we're going to give you a trade war. We see them further manipulating the yuan. We further see them taking steps and actions to escalate the trade war that Trump is creating. And, you know, this is not going to end well, frankly, for anybody. But this is one of the first. I saw someone say this, Cohen. At least with Smoot-Hawley in 1930s, they didn't have at least the history to say, wait a minute, Smoot-Hawley. They were they did it.
Exactly, which ultimately led us to the Great Depression. Let me also just say that when you really break this down, if you want to be honest, if you really want to be honest here, in Trump's mind and in the mindset of Lutnick and even Bessent, who are listening to the folks from Project 2025, that all of these countries are going to come and beg Trump, kiss the ring, in order to remove the tariff as against them, to give them a reprieve. Countries like Canada, he never expected, like Ukraine, right? Russia didn't expect Ukraine was going to be able to sustain the war. Canada is not playing. UK is not playing. Italy, France, they're not playing. They're not coming to kiss Trump's ass. Neither is China. In fact, what is Canada already doing? They've already said it. Number one, they're not selling American products at all in Canada. They're just not. And as far as the products that they were sending here, products that we need, products, if Trump is going to be honest for at least one split second when he says that we just brought in $7 trillion of foreign investment, in order to build these manufacturing plants, you are going to need steel and wood and concrete and energy and so on. Things that Canada supplies to America. We are the ones that are going to lose this trade war, because you know what they're doing right now, Ben? They're just speaking to one another. They're going to the rest of the global community and they're saying, hey, we got a shit ton of lumber to sell. Anybody interested? And they're buying it. They're buying their products. Meanwhile, China, the largest importer of soy from the United States. Now they said, fuck you. We don't want your soy. We'll source it elsewhere. So who's going to get hurt there? The farmers, the same idiots, Ben, that you guys showed on this Midas Touch network, on our Political Beatdown. The same people that were spray painting bales of hay, Trump 2024, or hanging the MAGA sign on the sides of their, or on the roofs of their barns, or on the back of their rusted up F-150 pickup trucks. These are the same people that right now Trump just turned around and said, yeah, sorry. All right, but I need to do it for a greater good. The people he promised to protect, the union workers, they're fucked. The farmers, screwed, right? I mean, how many more? All of America, the lowest, the poorest of Americans, who generally, like all Americans, like himself, we like cheap goods. We like inexpensive product so that we make our dollar go farther. Not anymore. You know, I read an article and I was talking to Don Lemon before on our Substack. Do you know if America manufactured the iPhone, do you know how much it would cost?
I do. I happen to know. $30,000.
Imagine. My friends, all right? So we have a nice little audience here of 16,000+ people with us. Did you hear what I just said? And Ben unfortunately got the answer right. Right? If we manufactured this iPhone right here, if we manufacture that, $30,000. I want to know how many people here, just by a show, if you're going to purchase a iPhone for $30,000, just do me a favor, hit the blue heart, and just let us know. I want to see how many people here are going to buy an iPhone for $30,000. And I would suspect the answer is nobody.
I would suspect that as well. You know, if you go back actually to some of the beatdowns that you and I were doing in January, we used, and on the show I do with my brothers, we used the iPhone as an example. We said, this is what his trade war is going to do. We used iPhone. We said the iPhone is going to cost double. So we were actually undershot it. It's actually 30x. And Cohen, you talk about all the MAGA people who were spray painting MAGA 2024 or Trump 2024 on their homes and cars. You know what they're spray painting now? Potatoes, if they could find it, because they can't afford eggs or other groceries. So they're taking the potatoes and they're painting it as Easter eggs. And that's how they're spending their time for Easter right now. There's actually headlines suggesting that that's what's taking place. But let's bring everybody into the White House. Let's talk about what was going down today at the White House, where Caroline Leavitt, Donald Trump's chief propagandist, she's basically the pink dress lady from North Korea here in the United States. It's just utterly absurd to even watch these things. It's embarrassing. Every time she holds it, it's actually humiliating. Here she is right here talking about how, the 104% tariffs against China go into effect at 12:01 a.m. tonight. Let's play that clip.
Caroline, on the president's threat yesterday on social media to increase tariffs against China by an additional 50% in response to their retaliation, has he signed anything in terms of an executive order, any documentation around that? Will that additional 50% go into effect tomorrow?
They will be going into effect at 12:01 a.m. tonight, so effectively tomorrow, yes.
Work on that today?
Of course, as always.
Of course, I'm going to destroy the economy. Of course, everybody.
You know what I call her, Ben? You know what I call her? That's bullshit Barbie. That's really what she is. She's bullshit Barbie standing up there, turning around. I do have to say, for as many people that want to criticize her, and you have every right, of course, to do that because the content of what she's saying is so ridiculous and it's so full of shit. It's so obvious, but she says it with such conviction. And she's got her messaging lines right down. So if you ask a question, Ben, right? If Midas Touch Network is there somehow in the Oval or in the briefing room or anywhere where you can ask bullshit Barbie a question and she doesn't like the question, I'm sorry, who are you from? Oh, Meiselas? Yeah, propaganda news. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump is the smartest. He knows exactly what he's doing. And the fact that you refuse to turn around and to give him the opportunity to do this, because when he gets this thing done, the entire world is going to understand that America is not for sale and that we are finally taking our country back. And you say that, yeah, but that wasn't the question. But great response anyway. And she does it with such conviction. And, she's only like 27 years old, but she's so much better than like Sean Spicer or Kayleigh McEnany or any of them, or Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She's so much better because she actually lies to you with a smile. It's quite impressive for a young girl.
Yeah, but you say, but I need to be. You're saying better at being a worse individual. I mean, you don't get a round of applause for being the best artist at being the worst. But it's beyond. You mentioned her age. Being 27. The age is irrelevant. I mean, this is an individual to me. Whether it's whatever, or a lack of experience, lack of empathy, just desiring to be so obsequious and having your role models be pink dress lady from North Korea or Baghdad Bob. Yes, Cohen, who was great.
I give her a lot of credit because it takes years of training to be able to lie and to bullshit with such conviction, like they do on
Baghdad Bob. Cohen. So is Baghdad Bob, okay? You give Baghdad Bob credit for doing it with conviction as it was all getting – it's all going great, everybody. He had a lot of conviction, Cohen. A pink dress lady.
Baghdad Bob wasn't 27 years old.
What is the age – I don't know if it makes it better, worse, whatever.
I'm just saying it takes – it's really something when you can have somebody who's so young who could bullshit so well and lie to the American people with the ferocity and the conviction that she does.
But bullshit.
It's a backhanded slap of praise.
Bullshit. Okay, but when you see it and you smell it, and you recognize it's a pile of if you recognize it's a pile of stinky shit, okay, then it's not a good bullshit. If it was a good bullshit, Cohen, let me tell you what, if it was a good bullshit, then the market would have went, as Trump goes, boom, 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 okay? It would not have gone down, down, down. So if you want to say that was good, it was good in being the worst possible person to do it.
It was a backhanded compliment.
Let's see how good she is.
Her propaganda is like only equivalent to that of maybe Kim Jong-un's sister.
I mean, but you know what? She stands up there. She's got the script before, and she's like, "I want you all to know that Donald is incredible. He's so great." And the market.
He's the greatest negotiator of all time. Nobody's smarter. He's got the best business sense. If people would stop attacking him, if the courts would let him do whatever he wants, if we pushed aside the Constitution, First Amendment, due process, he would be unstoppable at this time. Yeah, it's true. He would be unstoppable in destroying our country.
Here, play this clip. This is what she said. This is the next one where as the market's dropping and as she's bullshitting, as she's trying to shovel actual shit at Americans and Americans are not buying it. Let's take a look at what she says as the markets start dropping. Here, play this clip.
On another matter, the historic Liberation Day announcement last week by President Trump made it very clear that the era of American economic surrender is over. President Trump is no longer going to allow American workers and companies to be ripped off at the hands of foolish trade practices that shipped away millions of high-paying jobs and hollowed out communities across the country. It's America first, all the way. And despite fear-mongering by the media, the world is clearly responding to President Trump's approach. Just yesterday, President Trump held a bilateral meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu here at the White House. The Prime Minister pledged to immediately eliminate America's trade deficit with Israel and remove their trade barriers. Israel's proactive approach should serve as a model for the rest of the world.
Let me tell you what that reminds me of. It reminds me of 7th grade middle school,
Uh-huh.
where somebody would go up and do their book report, and they would show up and they would be told to take like an absurd position as part of their book report. And they would say, okay, class, my name is Caroline, and I want to tell you all about someone who deserves a little bit more attention. Do you know about Mao Zedong? Let me explain. What first started off as a cultural revolution became something far better. What I meant to say as well is that there is peace and prosperity for everybody. Like it's legitimately it's the worst. It's embarrassing. And then you add that the stuff of like tariffing the penguins, tariffing American military bases, using the deficit as a formula for fake reciprocal tariffs, Donald Trump speaking and saying things like, you know, Europe, there's not a single American car that, I don't know why I'm doing that voice. Not one American car has gotten sold in Europe ever. And you go to yourself, you're like, what do you mean? There's no American car? I'm pretty sure in Europe they buy American cars. Like, what are we talking? Where's it? Oh, it's just a complete and total utter lie. It's a combination. It's a potent mixture of dangerousness, stupidity, capriciousness, and it represents literally the worst. So then you get her, and I'm not even going to play some of these other clips, but then you get like Navarro, Navarro, who literally created a fake expert for his book. Like he made up a fake friend of his, and his.
Do you know how he did that? By the way, do you know how he did that?
Ron Vara, his fake friend.
Do you know where that comes from?
No,
from the letters of his last name.
And by the way, didn't Trump?
That's what he did. That's what he did. He took his last name. Go back to that last one, Jeremy. Ron Vara is the guy that he said is his friend. Go back.
Yeah.
All right. Take RON and then VAR. Right. So Ron Vara. He just played with letters in his last name. You know, I saw that. I was like, you've got to be shitting me. But I can't wait for the day that Caroline Levitt, that bullshit Barbie, loses her mind. When somebody like you, I love that picture. When somebody like you, Ben, asks a question about the $8 trillion of market value lost so far since Trump decided to announce these tariffs, and talk about how the American people, the people who Trump himself said that he needs to be president to protect, and she gets up there and she starts screaming 99999 and then start throwing shit right at the people who's doing the same way that Trump starts pointing at people. Oh, you're fake news. You're fake news. This is what you're going to see, because the truth, it was Buddha turns around and said that there are three certainties that will always rise: the sun, the moon, and the truth. And that's what's going to happen. The truth has to rise, because when you feel it in your pocket. The lies that Trump told you, that this was all about Biden and Bidenomics and so on. And it's worse now under Trumponomics, because even what's his name turned around and said that John Kennedy turned around and said Trump has to now own the economy. He can no longer deflect it off and claim it's the Biden result. It's the leftover of the Biden economy. He owns this economy, and he's going to suffer. And so will all Republicans, which is why you're seeing people like Mitch McConnell or Rand Paul or Ted Cruz and a whole slew of others beginning to step up and say, okay, what you're doing, Mr. President, is hurting my constituents, and we really need to have a conversation.
Well, they're not stepping up quick enough or with any type of steps that truly need to be taken right now. You talked about those three truths of Buddha. The ones that I heard here, though, was the only thing that are guaranteed in life is death and taxes. But now it's taxes for everybody other than the billionaires who Donald Trump is going to exempt from having to pay their taxes. That's what the new adage here, I guess, as billionaires get their $4.5 trillion tax cuts, while $880 billion in Medicaid is gutted. And that's what the Republicans are actually working on now how to do tax cuts for billionaires. I'll show this clip right here, though, too, and giving my example of, you talk about her age as, she's 27 and she's such a great propagandist in a bad way to show that she's, just lies. How does someone so young lie so good? I guess
well, that's my point. I mean, it's true. I mean, that's a truth.
For someone who's so young, how is you lie very good for someone so young.
She's so good at it.
That's Yoda. You lie for someone so good, so young.
Lie, you do.
Here she is being asked about Elon Musk saying that Peter Navarro or Ron Vera are wrong on tariffs because Elon's getting his Teslas tanking even more now because they sell to China. They sell to Europe, even though Trump says no cars get sent to Europe. No one's buying Teslas in Europe, or very few people are buying Teslas in Europe now, or it's down significantly. And now the China tariffs are going to crush Tesla. It's like his biggest market's basically China. So Levitt's asked about it. And here's what she says about the feud now between Musk and Navarro. She goes, boys will be boys. Boys are going to be boys. Here, play this clip.
There's been some public sparring between Elon Musk and the president's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, on some of these tariffs. Musk actually referred to Navarro today as being, quote, dumber than a sack of bricks. Are you at all, or is the administration, the president, all concerned that this is maybe impacting the public's understanding of these tariffs? It might be messing with the message on it?
No, look, these are obviously two individuals who have very different views on trade and on tariffs. Boys will be boys, and we will let their public sparring continue. And you guys should all be very grateful that we have the most transparent administration in history.
Boys,
so transparent. And by the way, if there's any information that any of our viewers, right, are interested in seeing, just go check out the truth on Truth Social or on Elon Musk's Doge account, where they'll tell you everything is great. Nothing is bad. The market, it's not down. It's actually up. Your 401ks are making money. And you sit there and you're like, got to be honest with you. I'm not seeing it that way. You know who else isn't seeing it? My stockbroker, right? Or my 401k when it comes, because like everybody, when your 401k page comes in, you're not really looking at how things happen. All you're doing is you're looking at last month, and then you look at this month. And this month, you're down like 20%. And you say, oh my God, if this thing continues, this was money that I was anticipating for my retirement in order, right, to supplement my Social Security, which you're not going to get either. And don't worry. If you don't get your Social Security check on time, just call Howard Lutnick, right?
Or call Scott Bessent, or call Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who goes,
one of them will help you out.
He goes, Scott Bessent, he goes, I wasn't involved in this. I wasn't involved in these negotiations, so I can't really tell you. But look, I think that we all know that most Americans have the right amount of savings right now. Everybody, I'm not worried at all. Okay, there's nothing worrisome here. Americans have saved enough money, and I think this is going exactly as planned.
You should trust the president. He knows what he's doing. He's very smart. I read his book, The Art of the Deal.
I read The Art of the Deal.
By the way, do you know that he didn't write The Art of the Deal? It was written by Tony Schwartz,
who wants it off the shelves. He's like, please take it off the shelves. I'd be very happy.
He's a friend of mine. He's like, I've been trying to get it off the shelves forever.
All right, we've got a lot more to discuss on Political Beatdown. We got to take our producer saying, okay, enough with the Yoda impressions, enough with the Scott Bessent impressions.
Scott Bessent, we go,
training he needs to require.
We will take our first quick break of the show. Reminder to subscribe to this YouTube channel right here. Help us get to 5 million subscribers. Then subscribe to @The Michael Cohen Show YouTube. That's soaring these days. Michael Cohen actually is growing
really great.
@The Michael Cohen Show YouTube. Also, Mea Culpa podcast on audio. Subscribe to the Mea Culpa audio podcast. All right, we'll take a quick break. We will be right back after. We only have one quick break on the show. We'll be right back.
So I've tried a lot of ways to relax. I've tried meditation, therapy, the occasional rage tweet, but nothing, and I mean nothing, has helped me unwind quite like Via. It's actually a game changer. You see, I've struggled with my sleep for years, tossing, turning, overthinking, replaying mistakes I've made in my head at 2 a.m. But ever since I started taking Via's Dreams gummies, I sleep like a baby. And I'm talking about a baby who didn't work for Trump. And it's not just sleep. Via has something for everything. So whether you need to relax, to focus, to recharge, or just stop giving a damn for a few hours, they've got you covered. These are hemp-derived, lab-tested, organic products crafted right here in the United States of America from independent, American-owned farms. I mean, this isn't some gas station mystery snack. It's clean, it's safe, and yeah, it actually works. With over 500,000 people already on the Via train, and with their award-winning, effect-forward lineup from zero to high THC, you can dial in the exact vibe that you want. So take their product finder quiz and find what fits you. And after you do, you can thank me later. So if you're 21 plus, check out the link to Via in our description and treat yourself to Via's annual Spring 420 sale. I mean, these are like Black Friday level savings with up to 35% site-wide right now, up to 50% off packs and bundles, and get a free gift. Plus more savings with your first order using our exclusive code BEAT. That's B-E-A-T. Plus, you'll also enjoy free shipping on orders of over $100. That's code BEAT, B-E-A-T, at the link in our description. And after you purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about them. So please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Enhance your everyday with Via. When your car breaks down, you take it to a mechanic with no hesitation. I mean, you need it, and it's not something most guys can fix themselves. Look, I know I can't, and men should think the exact same way about ED. But the reality is, you might be hesitant to seek help. Well, thankfully, through HIMS, you can get access to personalized ED treatment without ever stepping outside your door. HIMS is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort, get a load of that, of your own couch. HIMS provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable Hardmints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. You hear that? 95% cheaper. The process, it's also 100% online, so that there's no need for uncomfortable doctor visits. What you do is you just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. And if prescribed, your medication, well, it ships directly to you for free. And there's no insurance needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. Now, with hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, HIMS can help you find the ED option that works best for you. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/beat. That's HIMS.com/beat for your personalized ED treatment options. Again, that's hims.com/beat. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required, and price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. Hey, Jeremy, do we got that photo of Scott Bessent in the photo? I mean, come on. Did I mean, that's what it's like, this arrogant, like, look, do we have the video, Jeremy, of Larry Kudlow, who worked in the first Trump administration, like literally trying to coach Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and explain, like, you're stupid. What you're doing is dumb. Can you stop doing this? Like, that's what the Fox hosts are basically doing right now. They know that Trump watches it, so they're trying to, because they're regime media, so they're trying to coach the regime. Hey, you're not doing it right. Here, watch Larry Kudlow just like lecture Scott Bessent, and Bessent has that arrogant look that he does while Kudlow is like just coaching him on what to do. Here, play this clip.
Just heard, or I don't know if you heard Art Laffer in the prior interview, but Art doesn't believe that the trade deficit should be a metric. I don't really either. I mean, Mr. Secretary, if you get your tax cuts, and I guess you're well on the way, you get your deregulation. These are all huge pro-growth items. Okay. We will grow. We, the United States, will grow faster than Japan. We will grow faster than almost anybody. Therefore, almost by definition, by growing faster than the rest of the world, we're always going to have a trade deficit. So I don't know why you'd want to use the trade deficit in a calculation for a reciprocal charge. I understand your point about non-tariff barriers. I get that. That's why I would have chosen a handful of countries, I don't know, maybe 10 or a dozen countries, and really carefully pinpointed it. But to apply this to the whole world on the basis of trade deficits, is that really the best in your judgment? You've been around a long time. You've looked at these. You've done analysis. Is that really where we should be at?
Well, look, Larry, the trade deficit, as you and Art know, is a result of three things. It's a result of the terms of trade, it's a result of our budget deficit, and it's the result of the level of the dollar. And
Cohen, I'm going to say this. You warned the Howard Lutnicks,
Sure did.
the Scott Bessents, the Marco Rubios, the Pam Bondis, you know, all of these people who will now be looked at in history worse than Smoot Hawley, who will go down, frankly, as some of the worst Americans ever, who I think as our resistance and opposition continues to grow, history will look at their names, their families will be ashamed to have been associated with these individuals for what they're doing. Of course, the opposition and resistance needs to grow, but you warned them all. And someone like Bessent knew exactly what Kudlow was saying there. Bessent, in reality, doesn't like these tariffs. He's been trying to distance it. He knows he's a Wall Street guy worth almost $1 billion who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
But he has a tolerance, or I guess as the Trump regime calls it now, a pain tolerance. How much pain tolerance can you have? He's got the pain tolerance to go out there. Just go, well, you know, there are people, there are people in the Trump regime who feast off the pain. Like they like it. Like Bessent's different to me than like Caroline Leavitt or Stephen Miller or people like that who like genuinely kind of enjoy this cosplay weirdo where like Bessent knows. And in that moment, you see him as you're watching it. He knows, but he has no soul. He's soulless, right? He's just, I'm just going to say, well, I guess we'll see where this ends up. And it's people like that who in many ways are actually more dangerous than the Trumps.
And the problem is that the whole fucking group of them are apathetic to anyone else outside of their very, very small billionaire bubble. It's sort of like, talk about the greatest disconnect of all of this. It's not Kudlow, it's not Bessent, it's Donald himself. While America is suffering right now, everyone, whether you have money in the market or you don't, you're going to pay more money for goods. Ben, myself, everybody on this network has been saying since day number one that tariffs are passed on to the consumer. It is a blind tax on the consumer. So if you already are not seeing it, I'm shocked. Moreover, if you have any money in the market, your 401k, whatever it is, you have lost 20% of your future retirement dollars, plain and simple. And while all this is going on, $8 trillion lost in the market, what is our dear leader, our monarch, our king, the supreme leader, the dictator, the autocrat himself decide? For his 79th birthday, he wants to honor himself, as he just is going to be honoring himself yet again for another senior club golf championship. We're now at somewhere about 35 million spent in order to take him golfing in these 78 days since he's been president. More important than that, he's decided he's going to have a 4-mile parade, military parade. Now, very cleverly, they're telling you that they haven't decided, that it's not true, that they have not decided to do any parade. Right. They have not decided. They're not telling you that they decided, but he wanted to do that in 2017. He wants to parade down our missiles, our tanks, our Humvees, our military, all in honor of him, where he will stand on the outside of the balcony with his hand up like this, and everybody will salute him. And he's going to go, everybody, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Everybody's saluting me. The military's mine. That's mine. That's mine. And he's going to have, everybody should be saluting me, right? Come salute the king. That's what he's looking for. And you say to yourself, okay, at what cost? They're estimating the cost for that horse shit at around $90 million. So everybody else, by the way, we're paying that $90 million. It's not like it's coming from Elon Musk's pocket or from one of their, oversaturated super PACs. It's the American taxpayer who right now is suffering. We're bleeding, and he just wants to eat. He wants more to feed his ego. And that's what we now have to put up with. This is an ego play. This isn't about China or Italy or France or the UK or Canada. It's not. It's all about ego. It's that making the entire world come to him so he could puff out his chest and he could turn around and say, right, look at me. Look at me. There's nobody better.
And that's exactly out of the authoritarian playbook. As I've said, Putin doesn't care how many Russians he sends into a meat grinder in Ukraine. It doesn't matter. North Korea doesn't care. Kim Jong-un doesn't care. Kim Jong-un gives North Korean soldiers to Russia to put in the Ukrainian meat grinder, there. They don't care if their people suffer. In fact, they prefer the suffering because when people suffer, they're not independent. It's also why, with everything so Orwellian, dystopian, and projection of Trump, Liberation Day, as he called it, is his own view of liberation of his authoritarian spirit and the suppression of the freedoms of Americans. Economic freedom is a threat to Donald Trump because if people have economic mobility, you can be less dependent. If you have economic mobility, you can think about things and not worry, oh my God, what's going to happen the next day? Is this going to happen? When you are in a panicked mode, authoritarians feast on the fear because then they come in as a strong man and say, I alone am going to fix it. And if you complain, I'm going to suppress what you're doing by using the government to attack you. We're going to disappear you throughout all of the chaos. Remember what the Trump regime is also doing. As I've said before, weapon of mass distraction. You have to still focus on all of the other things that are happening on a day-to-day basis. We learned yesterday SpaceX just landed a $5.92 billion contract with the Pentagon for Space Force rocket launches. Blue Origin, Jeff Bezos's company, got slightly less money, but also they got $2.3 billion, but still billions of dollars from the Trump regime. This is on top of other funds that have been given to Elon Musk from the FAA, as they basically broke the Federal Aviation Committee. You have to remember they're disappearing migrants, a lot of people who are here lawfully, people who are family members of actual Trump supporters, like Venezuelan community, the Cuban community, Haitian communities, people who actually voted for Donald Trump being disappeared to concentration camps in El Salvador without due process. There were two pretty bad Supreme Court rulings, although one ruling requires that the Trump administration provide at least some semblance of due process in the form of a habeas corpus petition before disappearing migrants to El Salvador. You have to give an individual notice and allow them a period of time to bring a lawsuit in a court. But migrants don't exactly have constitutional lawyers on their Rolodex. So the fact that the Supreme Court otherwise allowed the Trump regime under the Alien Enemies Act to continue down this path, and they did it by basically saying that there was incorrect venue in Washington, D.C. They use venue and jurisdiction as a way to kind of still allow Donald Trump to use war powers under the Alien Enemies Act. They didn't get to the merits of the case yet, but they did say, well, you at least have to give them the opportunity to file a habeas corpus petition. But then also, at least as of now, you still have the individual from Maryland, the Venezuelan who was living in Maryland, who there was a order of protection saying you can't, from a Trump immigration judge from 2019, saying you can't send this person to El Salvador. And the Trump regime sent this individual, Abrego Garcia, to El Salvador. They said it was a mistake and oopsies in their court filing. The lawyer who admitted it was a mistake got disciplined by the Trump regime and pushed out of the DOJ for admitting it was an error that took place. In other words, he was being candid with the court, a duty of candor, and then punished for it. We can't forget that these things are taking place before our eyes, and also not a scintilla of federal spending has been reduced. Let me repeat that. Federal spending is up. With all of these things, what did the Trump regime announce yesterday? They were going to add $1 trillion or have a $1 trillion military budget. Yep. Spending is actually way up. So for all of Doge's destruction, the wrecking ball it's taken to our government, spending is higher now than under former President Biden. And we can't get distracted. There's a lot to get distracted, but we have to remember those facts. And Cohen, it's time for your two-finger salute.
Well, it has to go to bullshit Barbie, right? I mean, I know that a bunch of people are like, I can't believe that you complimented. That was what's called a backhanded slap compliment, right? So, please go back. You could actually watch this so that you'll
watch it in replay.
Watch it in replay is right. DVR it. Right. And replay it back so that you understand that it was I was being sarcastic and cynical, which is my nature. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. When you watch her get up there and lie to you, and that bullshit Barbie is lying right to your face, but does it with that sort of smile. They all seem to be smiling. Lutnick is off smiling. Who's the other guy that's also always now on Fox?
Kevin Hassett.
Kevin Hassett.
National
I mean, this idiot is smiling for everything. People are really suffering right now. And they don't know how they're going to pay for their food and their medication. But Donald Trump is really smart, and he's the greatest businessman of all time. I read his book, The Art of the Deal. You can buy it on Amazon right now for $39.99. And on top of that, and underneath, if you buy enough of them, you can get the $5 million Trump gold card or one of his Doge coins if you're one of the lucky people that catches the gold ticket. And you sit there and he's sitting there and you're like, what the fuck? Right? But my two-finger salute today has to go to bullshit Barbie. I mean, to lie to us to our face and think that we're just going to accept it because you're standing up in front of a podium. No, it's enough already. How about just tell the fucking truth? Isn't that what your job is supposed to be? Right? Answer the question, and don't answer the questions from the people that have already given you, or you gave them the question that thank you so much for asking me the question that we gave to you about 20 minutes ago, right? That I prepared for you. Thank you there, Joe. Right? So bullshit Barbie, to you and all the nonsense that's going on there. Seriously, fuck you.
I'll show you what just went down moments ago. Donald Trump gave a press conference where he posed workers behind him as props, as he's probably destroying their pensions. And it's just sad to see using human beings as like props like that. Remember J.D. Vance when he went to Greenland and no one wanted to see him? He used the military behind him, and then he went to have lunch, and J.D. Vance was wearing like the hat, which you do not do in the mess hall. Like it's kind of like rule one, you don't wear your hat, around military service members. But anyway, here's Trump from moments ago, and here he's again lying about turning on of the valve and saving Southern California from the fires because he turned on a valve, and then that's what put out the fires in Southern California. Here, play this clip.
You will not be subject to the incredible blackout situation that's taking place in California, where they have blackouts all the time. It's an amazing thing with California. They have blackouts and brownouts at levels that nobody's ever seen before. And all they want to do is keep going the way they're going. And they're doing a very poor job. As you probably heard, I released billions of gallons of water going in from upstate California, from the most northern parts of California. Probably comes in from Canada to a certain extent. Thank you very much, Canada. We appreciate it.
It doesn't come in from Canada. You don't know what you're talking
about.
Do
you know what the distance is from Canada to California?
He thinks Canada borders California. And again, what you just saw there is frankly exactly what Kim Jong-un of North Korea does, right? He says, everybody in South Korea is suffering. They don't have electricity. It's horrible over there. You don't want to go there. They're being tortured by the government there, while he does that to his people. I mean, when you watch that, I can say, could you imagine a Biden or Obama? It just, we're beyond that. And again, sometimes I use the word psychotic, but people say if you use the word psychotic, it's a little bit, it could be, people don't like when I use that word. I'm trying, demented, deranged. I mean, we're literally watching somebody who is not equipped, not just to not be near any position of leadership anywhere. I mean, when you watch that, he ordered the Army Corps of Engineers to drain reservoirs in kind of the central Northern California into areas that are nowhere near Southern California, drained it, caused flooding, dumped out 2 billion gallons of water that is needed for dry summers, which were expected to have after the fires were already out. And he wanted to talk about a valve. So he just screwed over farmers in the summer. And then he believes, but he thinks that Canada borders California. And again, this is the individual. And here's the thing: when you talk about,
I mean, shouldn't he know that?
No, he doesn't know anything. And here's the thing: Xi Jinping. You know what? When Donald Trump would say on the speeches, he would go, Xi Jinping, he's strong. He's right out of central casting, like a Hollywood movie. It's another tell, because Trump is an actor. He's a reality TV guy. He's playing a part that he manages to convince tens of millions of Americans is actually what a smart billionaire looks like, when it's exactly the opposite. When he talked about Xi Jinping as the smart central casting guy, what Trump was trying to say is I'm kind of trying to pretend to be that. But here's the thing: Xi Jinping will respond deliberately with preparations, using science, using data, building alliances to try to figure out the weak points to inflict pain. Whereas in the Trump regime, you've got Navarro, like an idiot. You've got Hegseth, a bigger idiot. You've got Lutnick, who you know what's going on there. You've got Besant. You've got Bondi. You've got the Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins, who they call Brookie. And she's like, are you read the art of the deal? You have J.D. Vance, like whatever character he's playing on any given day, weirdo. You've got this group of people who are not even effective authoritarian. That's why people say kakistocracy, like a dumb authoritarian. It's like these people are the worst humans for the moment. And you go and look at, like you mentioned, Kevin Hassett. Kevin Hassett's background is he's the guy who predicted the dot-com boom right when it was crashing. He said it's going up to 40,000. He released the book. The next day it crashed. Peter Navarro, the Green Bay sweep, the guy was in jail for trying to do the insurrection. The guy's wrong about you go through the backgrounds of these people and who are attracted to this and who attracts Trump and who is Trump attracted to. They're just dumb. They're idiots and they're very dangerous people. And they look the part, right? I mean, Hegseth, got the slick back hair. He wears I don't know, you have the people who play, who role play, who cosplay. And these are the most problematic people. Anyway, I could go on forever, Cohen, but I think I should mention this. Judge McFadden, just so we get all the data to our viewers. Judge McFadden, a Trump-appointed judge, ruled against Trump right now, ordering the Associated Press go back into the press room. That order just happened and said you can't target the Associated Press because you don't like the fact that they call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of Mexico and not the Gulf of America. You can't discriminate against them on the basis of Gulf of America v. Gulf of Mexico. That's a Trump-appointed judge. So it'll be interesting to see what Trump's response is. This leftist judge, leftist lefty. Cohen, anything you want to say before we go?
No, I think you forgot about, of course, RFK Jr. As now we just lost another child in Texas to measles, and he's finally turning around and acknowledging. We have to have this. On
the brother podcast, we don't allow the impression. You go in the impression.
Well, I'm terribly sorry, but you're on Political.
Go right for the impression.
All right,
you can't go the impression right away.
Listen, it is what it is, but terribly sorry. But I mean, look.
You said
whatever.
Whatever.
By the way,
in conclusion, whatever.
In conclusion, right? Stay active, stay vigilant, stay vocal, stay angry. Stay angry. We may joke a little bit here because we can't live day to day, second by second, in this sort of exhaustive mode, being lied to, being taken advantage of, watching our democracy sort of be torn apart, day in and day out. So it's really why so many of you today, almost 25,000 with us on this Midas Touch Network Political Beatdown show. And the reason why is because here, there's no lie, there's no spin. It's facts. We may say it, in a way which obviously shows to which side we lean, but we leave that to you to take the facts. We don't make up shit. We use the facts to present it to you truthfully and honestly. And we have to just stay vigilant. That's all I want to say. Just so stay active, stay concerned, and stay with Midas Touch Network.
Yeah, Cohen, I know you got a big announcement. We'll announce it on the next episode. This event that we're still working on details, but we'll announce that next episode. I'll tease it a little bit there. It could be kind of a town hall-ish event in New York, but we'll give you more details of that soon on our socials when we finalize the details there. I just released a video. I did an interview with Cory Booker, Senator Booker. That's going to be on our YouTube channel as soon as this ends.
Easy.
Everybody here, there's 16,000 people here. Watch the Senator Booker, and it just went live right now. So when this ends, go click on the Booker interview on the Midas Touch YouTube channel. Subscribe to @The Michael Cohen Show YouTube channel, @The Michael Cohen Show. Check that out now. Make sure you subscribe now. The Mea Culpa podcast as well. Subscribe to the Mea Culpa podcast. Thank you everybody for watching. Again,
don't forget this also, if you have a chance and you're on Substack, go there too. And also make sure that you check out Midas Touch Network's Substack as well, where we post every single day. Really thought-provoking and, well, Ben's a somewhat snarky, commentary. By the way, we have to figure out when we're doing our Patreon.
No, we got it. We got to do it. We got to do it soon. It's been so crazy with all the keeping up with the cycle.
By the way, that's one of the biggest problems. And then I'm going to let us go. That's one of the biggest problems. He likes the chaos because it stops people from going back to do the things that they want to do.
Yeah. Well, everybody watch the interview I just did with Senator Booker. It's on the channel. Just go from here, go to there, click it. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Cohen. It was a fun one and an otherwise difficult day to spend this time with you. Shout out Midas Mighty. Shout out Beatdown Brigaders.